Hi everyone, it's Kathy from Kathy Loves to Scrap here with a double layout this time. Just doing a double of my daughter, and I'm just going to walk you through this. It's not usual that I do a double, but we've got one today. So I've gone through and I've collected all of the things that I want to use. I've got this amazing leaf ribbon that I'm going to use, and I collected all these flowers that I want in the shades of the cardstock and papers that I'm using. I've pre-cut my title on my Cricut and put it through the Xyron sticker maker. So much easier than layering up your layers. I've got these three butterflies that are vellum stickers, and I have used one of them in the layout, you'll see. I've got some wooden veneer flairs and a wooden clock there that I want to put onto the page, and I've just got some bits and pieces of scrap that I may or may not use throughout, and I have got my photos which you can see here, and this beautiful one of my daughter. These were taken at the grounds at Alexandria last Christmas. Now I did pull these two pieces of scrap to maybe use, but I ended up not in the final product. This here is a script stencil, and I've had these flowers forever, so they're matching the colours, so I think I will use them. I have these beautiful butterflies courtesy of Scrapbook Fantasies. They were a gift when I purchased from them recently, so they fit nicely, and I'm going to use those as well. And they're chipboard, and I will colour those as we move on. Now I've got these two old Kaiser papers, and I really do like them. I've used them before, and I got them recently in a sale, and I just love the colours. And yeah, thinking, why has she got a shirt like a seat there and it's garden photos? But I call the page Take a Seat, and I think that will tie it all in. I've got these three cardstocks that I'm going to use, and that terracotta peachy colour is one of my favourite colours for cardstock, and it will marry nicely on this page. As I said, I don't often do a double, and this therefore may find times that it'll be a bit confusing, but it comes together beautifully in the end. I'm using the distress paint again, the weathered board, and I'm going to use that to ink up or paint up my wooden veneers. One of them's broken there, but that doesn't matter. You can see when I put it together that you can't notice that. So I'm quickly going to paint them. These are a matte paint, which is really good. It's a distress paint. Gives it a look of vintage, and it's a nice match to those colours on that layout that you saw. And I don't know why I don't use them. I've got millions of them. I should just use them more often. I'm just giving all of the chipboard a painting over because that's the prep time that I need. Now I am going to use this stencil just to build up a bit of detail on this one because it's a blank background. I use a Kaisercraft ink that I've had forever, and it's called Lagoon. I do like it, but I think it's drying out now, and I think it's getting to the end of its life, and I might have to purchase a new one. So I'm just going to ink it with this Lagoon or a teal colour, and lightly in the background, and then I'm going to top it off with some gathered twigs, and that's going to echo it and make it stand out a little bit more, and that just adds a little bit of interest to that background. Alright, so I'm moving over to the main page, which is actually the right hand side, and I'm going to use a hexagon print, and I use the light here. I really should get my shadow box out and make life so much easier, but I'm just using the light here to guide me. With my pencil, I'm going to trace around a hexagon, which I cut, and it's an 8-inch hexagon. I cut it on my Cricut so that I could use it as a guide, but I'm also using the green coloured one as my matting for this piece. So I've cut this one out using my blade, and most people, or some people, would use a ruler to guide. I use sight, as I said, and a straight hand. Most of the time I get it right, sometimes I don't. You'll see I've done one, but once you've talked together you can't tell. So that's going to sit there. I've cut out another hexagon now out of that one because I'm going to use it to mount the photo. Waste not, want not, use up the paper and expand it and put it across. So there you see at the moment my hexagon sitting in the middle of the page. And you're thinking, that's blending in. But when I layer up the next part, you'll see I've just cut off the branding strip, and I put it to the side because it's got a nice pattern on it and I might use it on another layout somewhere down the track. Now because this is a double, I'm only going to ink 3 of the 4 edges with the gathered twigs because the centre down the middle I don't want it to be inked because I want it to look like it's joining when the pages are in the album together. So I place it in so that one side is exactly along the edge and it's giving it some solid base for that layout. Then I'm using this beautiful applique ribbon with the peach and the olivey greens, which ties in beautifully with the paper, and sitting in behind the hexagon, it gives it a depth and detail, adding to the garden theme of it. It's such a beautiful ribbon and it perfectly matched to this paper. And so I've layered that in. Now I'm going to put down the green coloured cardstock, or the aqua, and then I'm putting in my cut out piece already. I'm just moving it around so it sits. Now I'm going to do exactly the same as I did to the main piece, but I'm going to do it to the photo. And as you can see, I'm fiddling around with it just to get it up the right direction. I'm going to trace around it with my pencil, and then I'm using my slide cutter. I'm just going to cut it nice and straight. Could use scissors, but being a left-hand cutter, I often don't cut as straight as I'd like to, so I use the slide cutter here. I'm layering up this photo, so I've got the aqua colour in the background followed by the terracotta colour underneath it, and then 3 sides are popped with puff tape because they've got to come up over the top of the leaves, and the other 3 sides are just flat tape, and then that sits nicely on the page. So as I said, I've titled this one Take a Seat. We'd been out, we'd had dinner, and then we would walk through, and at the time it was Christmas, so it was like a gingerbread wonderland, and we walked into the little garden and the wishing fountain was there, and she took a seat beside me and I just took these photos. It was lovely and it was a warm night, so it was nice to just sit for a little while. Okay, now moving over to which is the left page and the sister page, and on this one I'm having 3 photos. So cut away that strip again and my 1/4 inch around. I'm going to just ink once again the 3 edges, giving it the shadow and lifting it off the frame. And look at me go. I love fast motion. Takes out you sitting there watching the boring process of prepping the page. Alright, now here we go. I have got the 3 photos and I'm arranging them so that they look in the right spot. And I've got a smaller hexagon again, which I'm now tracing around those smaller photos. And these photos are 3.5 by 5, and I'm cutting them down into a 3.5 hexagon, which is quite big enough for this layout that I want, because I don't want it any bigger, because if you see where they sit on the page, if I had them any bigger they'd be covering up too many elements and I don't want to cover them up. Once again I'm using the slide cutter to trim it down, makes it nice neat straight line. I do love this viscous cutter because it has a guideline with the wire, so you know exactly where that's going to cut. And it cut it in, and so layering them up. Now originally I was going to have two going in the sideways hexagon with the flat top and bottom, but I actually cut the photo incorrectly, so it doesn't matter, it looks good because it carries across with a pattern that matches if you have a look when the double page is together, and it actually worked out better in the long run. So I'm just layering up a double one for the middle, and I'm popping it up because I want it to throw shadow and depth, and that's very important I think when you're looking at a busy layout or a layout that's got lots of layering and embellishing on it. So I've laid down my 3 photos now so I can be on page. And there, unfortunately, sorry about the angle of the camera, you can just see that the page is joining. At the bottom there's a little rose, and that's something I learned recently, that if they are sister pages from a kit, the elements usually line up somewhere along the join, and in this case that bottom rose joins to make one big rose, which is why I didn't cut any from those sides. Now, time for embellishing. So I'm bringing back in my wood veneer that I had previously distressed with the paint, and I'm layering it at the top as a feature. And see, it didn't matter that it was split, I just put it together and it fits in there nicely. On this side I'm going to add the 2 flairs top and bottom to build the page and to marry the 2 pages. So I've got wooden flair on both, and these swirls and curls look like they extend from that ribbon. Now I'm going to add some ribbon to this page to tie it together, and I'm going to put it to the bottom there because it's going to filter down into that journal corner, which you can just see briefly, really lightly lined in the paper at the bottom corner. And I'm overlaying up here, so it's building that vine type of effect. Now I'm looking whether I'm putting it to the bottom or to the top, and I go with the top. And the reason I go with the top is I want it to carry over to the second page, and that allows that continuity for the eye to flow from one page to the other when they're together. Now that will sit in there, and then I will just glue these down, and I use my tacky glue. It's the best glue ever. I use it for everything. Wood, material, bling, gems, everything. I just use this glue. It's the best glue. And it allows me to manipulate for quite a while after it's gone down as well. But then when it dries, it's really, really set. So I'm layering in these leaves, as you can see. And these layouts, even though you're watching them in quick time and you're seeing them, they only take, I try to bring it down under 20 minutes while you're watching. Hopefully getting better at getting it to the closer to the 15 minutes. You can see now where I carry it over onto the next page so that it will be a continuity of theme. Here we go. Now all these both these pages could stand alone singly, but together they look like connected. And I'm going to lay in these flowers, and I do love material flowers. I don't use them often. I should. I've got a million of them. And I really love the effect, but sometimes I don't know. I just forget to go and get them and use them. But these ones were perfect for this layout. As I said, they match the colours. They just give it a nice little lift, and they add some detail to it, particularly with that ribbon, and it tones down that ribbon too. Alright, so I'm putting in on this side the 2 lighter coloured ones, and I'm going to top them up with some orange that picks up the colours of the paper. And I'm going to match that, and building those embellishment clusters, it's important. I'm going to tuck in some little butterflies, those little ones that I distressed before. Put those into the corners there. So those clusters are coming together and the eye is being drawn around that page. Coming back here, and I'm going to tuck in some orange to this page here, building up these clusters. And then I found some little ones. Oh, well, I've got a butterfly first, and I've got those vellum butterflies, and I'm thinking, where am I going to use them? So I put it down here on the journal corner, and then I'm going to put the clock. And as you can see, I think about it, you know, fuss and play, and finally I decided to put there. I got these little flowers of the same colours, which is very handy. Not planned, just found them on my desk, and perfect for this layout. And I'm just adding them in to build the clusters and pad it out a little bit more. Add a bit more bluey, aquary colour to pick up that chair on the side and my other colours in the photos. And I'm just adding and padding out these clusters so that they've got some body to them and they're not just flat. And you know my old saying, just add more until you're happy with the final effect. And I actually like how this is coming in. I've got the double orange up there. So now I've got my 3 clusters happening on this page, 3 at the top, running around, or if you like. And I'm going to add a bit of orange down here as well, so that it's balanced and equaled. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with how that's come out. Just make sure that it's all in the right spot. I have this little tag, and on it, etched into it, it says love. And so I'm just tagging that to the journal spot. I'm going to go and put some little blue ones in here, and that will build up these clusters and marry them to the other clusters on the other side by having the same colours right across. And I say blue, but they're not really a blue, they're more an aqua colour, a pale aqua. And they pop in just nicely there, and as you can see, that cluster's nice and full now. And now I fiddle around with this butterfly. I've got one left, and I need to drag it into this side. And so I'm thinking I'm going to put it up there at that cluster, which I end up doing so that it drags the first and second page together. Alright, normally I do some faux stitching, but today I thought I'd just do a messy line, and I've grabbed a bronze gel pen to draw in a messy line just to border off the page. I'm going to do that on both sides of the double, and as you can see, that's just come together beautifully. And I'm going to messy line in the hexagon in the middle just to give it some detail and lift it off the page as well. And I'm quite happy with how this has come together, surprisingly, because I don't always do doubles. Actually hardly ever do doubles. I'm just adding in my final Nuvo drops, because anyone knows I love Nuvo drops, and they're important, and they build a page and they make it look just that little bit extra finished off. Something little in lots of 3. Odds are good for the eyes. And actually in nature, all leaves are in odds, all things are in odds, which is quite interesting to see, like Fibonacci number. Alright, here we go. So I'm just going to add in my messy line here as my border to tie off this page. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it's a messy border. Then I'm going to hand journal into the bottom corner here. And that's just saying where we were and what we were doing, so that future people know who's in the photos and what was happening. And once again, I've got my Nuvo drops, and I'm going to drop them across the page, give them a little bit of a lift, and I do them in clusters of 3. Very pleasing for the eye, makes the eye go from one spot to the other. An and R about there, and I decide not. Now I think about down the bottom, because I really think it's a little bit flat, and unfortunately when I went away from this page and I thought about it, I then zhuzhed it up a little bit more, and you'll see that in the final page, but I didn't actually video doing that. So here's my double, and I put it together, and you can see down there that I'm thinking still that it's a bit flat, and I'm looking for whether I should be doing anything extra to it. And I'm just contemplating that, and it does take your mind, but here you go. You can see my clusters up here at the top. I've put in that wood, done my journaling block down the bottom. It's got handwritten journaling. I've got the inking in the background with the stencil. I've layered up lots and lots of flowers, and that ribbon is just stunning. And there's my layout. My double, which, like I said, is not usual for me, and I'm still thinking whether I want it. And you can see how that cluster runs from one page to the next and draws it together. And that's my double, but like I said, they could stand alone. I'm happy with both. And on here you can see where I've added some sequins onto the chair at the joins, and I've got sequins dots throughout the clusters as well to give it a bit of a lift. And that's my layout. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you did. Follow me on Insta, where you'll see lots more of my layouts. Remember, I'm Kathy Loves to Scrap. Happy scrapping until next time, and thanks for watching.